Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with his good friend, Mr. Todd Baldwin. How you doing, sir?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. So, if people don't know your story, you were able to retire financially free before you were 30. You came from very, very, very humble beginnings. You have leveraged house hacking as your anchor or key to get all this party started.
Mhm.
And you've been featured in CNBC and lots of other areas, right? So you are several decades younger than I am. And I want to read you a question from a 16-year-old, if you don't mind.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So I got this comment. I got this comment the other day on a video where I talked about the one rental at a time family donating almost 15 grand to a food bank. So this is where that question came from. So his name is Hacker. I'm going to guess that's a pseudonym. Here we go. Amazing. Very impressive, from a food insecure to financial freedom. What is the name of the charity? How can I donate? So cool. I have to ask, since you were there, what advice would you give a smart 16-year-old kid with a good heart and good work ethic that has parents that struggle just to keep the lights on, or maybe even has parents that aren't supportive at all, perhaps even dysfunctional, and experiences food insecurity? But this young person would like to break the cycle and get out of the poverty trap and experience financial freedom. What would you tell him?
Oh man. Well, it's tough because he's a minor. If he was 18, I would say go get your first credit card, start building credit. When you can move out, all those things. I'm not going to advise this person get emancipated and move out of his parents' house. But you do, I mean, that is tough, man, especially if the parents are unsupportive and unwilling to make any changes. He's kind of in limbo until he can legally move out, right, and do his own thing. But when the time comes, I would absolutely, well, first of all, tune into channels like yours, read books like Rich Dad Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant, fill your brain up with knowledge for the next 2 years, so that by the time you're 18, you might be able to execute on some things. At the bare minimum, start building your credit. But yeah, it's when
Well, let's go back and be Todd Baldwin at 16.
Yeah.
Did you have a job?
Yes, I did.
What are you doing?
I had actually left a job because it was terrible, and I started a landscaping business.
There you go. So you were not, damn, you've been an entrepreneur your whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at 16, I had I had a commission-based job. Shocking. I've had a commission-based job since I was 15. So, okay. So we were both working, right? We wanted a little jingle in our pockets. And it's funny. The richest I ever felt when I was a high school senior, I think I almost made 30 grand as a high school senior, like 20 or 24 grand or something. Anyways.
That's good, because when you're a high school senior, that was like 1942. So that
exactly. It was like real money, man. Yeah, dude. Dude. Anyways, I had an in-car phone. I know you don't know what that is, but they actually used to screw them to the car.
Oh, I know what it is. I never, I had to go to a museum to find one, but I know
what it is. Anyways, so I guess there's a couple of things, right? Because I've had the luxury of thinking about this question for a while. So, and again, I am trying to speak to myself through this question. The first thing I would tell this person, or tell myself, is the world owes you nothing. Sorry. World owes you nothing. Don't expect anything from anyone. The world's not fair. At 16, I was in a high school that I had no right being in. So I went to a local, my parents made nothing. I think I made more than my dad when I was like 22 or 23. So very early. But I went to St. Francis High School, which is a Catholic high school full of rich people. And I was taking the bus to school. Right. I had from my public high school, there were 2 kids that went to St. Francis the year that I went there. I had no right. They all came from St. Simon's and St. this and St. that. And it was so uncomfortable as to be not enjoyable experience at all. But I was around, I mean, I remember watching kids pay for lunch with $100 bills. I remember kids rolling up with brand new Mercedes, BMWs. I remember a 16-year-old getting a Corvette. He wrapped it around the tree, and the next day he had a Mercedes. I mean, just stupid money.
Mhm.
And let me just tell you, sitting there eating a bag lunch, or because I had a job standing in line buying pizza or whatever, it was uncomfortable, but also has become fuel, right? Yeah, I don't know that I would want to do it different, but it was not fun being around all that money and having nothing, and having to go stand in bus line to take a bus home. That was embarrassing.
Mhm.
But yeah, what I would tell that kid is life's not fair. Get over it. What I would tell someone at that age today is find your passion or hobby and go deep. I don't care what it is. Like if it's sports cards, so be it. If it's Pokemon, so be it. I mean, whatever the thing is today, go deep, because what you could do at 16 with a cell phone today, you could be building a following by the time you're 18 is the rest of your life. Right? If you're 16 and you're building a following and you start to monetize that when you're 18, you may never have to work again in your life, but you've got to go deep. What I think a lot of young people do is they get caught in the flash. Stop chasing flash. Go deep in something. Find that all you need is 1,000 followers, and you could do that the rest of your life. So I would tell you to stop making excuses. I would tell you to start doing the work now. Yes, graduate high school. I think it's definitely something you should do. I'm not a big fan of dropping out of high school. But yeah, the world's your oyster. And oh, by the way, if you're that person, you probably can live on $2,000 a month or less. Think about that. I mean, I spend more than that eating out every month.
Yeah, for sure.
Just think about that. I mean, if you're 16, you can live on $2,000 a month. You may never have to get a job in your life. So I want to tell them the world is out there. The time will get better, but it is on you.
Yes. And I think the only reason that I talked about being in limbo until you're 18. So I agree with you, by the way. If he has a passion, he can, make a TikTok about that specific passion and do a niche. I caution teenagers on social media, just because, man, there are some creeps out there that like their whole deal is they try to contact a minor through social media, and it's a real bad thing, right? So
absolutely, yeah.
that's my sort of proceed with caution. But I agree with you. I had people in my school that I didn't go to a rich school, but I had people who were of means in that school, and really nice cars, and big crazy houses. And certainly growing up the way you did, the way I did, it gives you an edge.
Yeah, fuel, baby, fuel.
Fuel, exactly. Yeah. But the crazy thing, which is true for both of us, and because you have an adult daughter, and my son is on the way, and our children basically, right, are the rich kids that we had an edge over in some weird way, right?
Yeah. Even though Olivia and I sacrificed like crazy while she was a teenager, she never felt it.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I guess that's true, because you were 30 when you started your journey and all this. Where I'm my baby will be born right after I turn 30, basically.
Show off.
Yeah. I didn't even think I was going to have kids, but I'm happy that they're on the way. But no, I mean, it's a weird thing, right? Because I know that my son that's on the way, whatever children that I have, they won't have the same fire that I had. And I don't know, like,
well, I don't know. See, I want to push back just because I can.
Yeah.
They're certainly going to have a different fire.
Yes.
Right. Because that came from nothing. Damn the torpedoes. You've got to be in the muck to have that. But it's possible that they're going to take your spot and go higher. I'm not going to say it's likely, but I don't want to say it's impossible.
No. Yeah. I hope they do. I hope they take the baton and grow and do things. There's less of a reason to when you're not, You know, it's like, you know, I know this is a very controversial point in history, but it's like when Cortez burned the ships. It's
Yeah.
like, what you gonna fail? Because if you fail,
Yeah.
you can't go home because the
Yeah.
ships are burned. Like,
Yeah, you're done.
You know what I mean? And that's how I was growing up. Is like, dude, I have no other option.
Yeah. Yeah. It's raising the next generation is important. But again, back to this 16-year-old.
Mhm.
The other thing I want to tell them is life gets better.
Yes.
You know, you're in it. You're going to be in it for a couple more years. I was out of the house at 19.
Mhm.
Actually, I was out of the house at 18. I was married at 19. Jesus.
Wow.
God, I'm old. Yeah. I was out of the house at 18, married at 19. Yeah, it's life gets better, and
Mhm.
it gets better when you own it, right? You can't blame your parents. Most of the time they do the best they can. Sometimes they come with bad situations. Don't anchor on that. Life's hard for everyone. You know, the Navy SEALs say the only easy day was yesterday. All of these things. I just hold that stuff near and dear, and don't be afraid to work. Don't be afraid to fail. For me, I've said it many times, the most valuable skill I would want is public speaking. It's made me millions of
Mhm.
dollars.
Mhm.
There are just some things you should go pick up.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then there's the money side, right? Don't get caught in the sizzle. Just work. And if you can live on $2,000 a month, you could be financially free by the time you're 20. So, you know, what I would tell them is there's reason to be hopeful. In fact, I would tell you, you should be hopeful.
Mhm.
But that's kind of what I think.
No, yeah, I agree. And the fact that, I mean, you know, the fact that he put a comment on a YouTube video means he has a computer and a cell phone.
Yeah.
37% of the world have never used the internet, right? So like,
Exactly.
so there's always someone who's doing better, someone who's doing worse, and it's up to you to decide what you do with the opportunity or lack thereof that you're in.
There you go. Well, this has been a lot of fun. I appreciate you coming back. Where can people find you?
On Instagram, and I'm at Tajay Baldwin.
Awesome, buddy. Thanks.